This exclusive webinar is based on the theme Startup and Entrepreneurship, will feature our very own IISER Kolkata alumnus. Before we begin, I would like to lay down some rules for the smooth operation of the event with minimal disruptions. All the participants are requested to mute their microphones and switch off their cameras during the talk. Towards the end of the talk, we will pick up some random questions from the chat box for our speaker to answer. So, we encourage you to keep the chat box alive with questions. But please avoid unnecessary or inappropriate spamming in the chat box. We thank you for your cooperation. Now, I invite our guest speaker, Mr. Shubham Sharma, the co-founder of Rebhu Computing. Rebhu Computing is a technology startup that reimagines the way computers exist and work, making the present and future of computing sustainable by increasing the life of computing devices and subsequently reducing e-waste. Let us understand it this way. If Tesla and Apple had a baby, it would be the child prodigy of Rebhu Computing. Currently, the company is working on RebuNet, which allows the user to run any desktop application right from their browser window with a little usage of internet. This eliminates the need for purchasing hardware that fulfills the same. In a nurse, the company aims to reimagine the way computer hardware are used in the future. Without further ado, I request Shubham Bhaiya to take over and enlighten us.
Yeah, thanks Malini for the nice introduction. So I actually have few questions before I start, and it's just a yes no type question to know the audience. And yeah, it's okay. Someone, just give me a second. Okay, it's for Shubham Bhaiya. Can you please turn off your camera? Yeah, nice. Okay, so these are just yes no type questions. So if you know the answer, if the answer is yes, you can reply with the number of question in the chat box. For example, for first question, you can reply by 1. For second question, if your answer is yes, you can reply by 2. I hope I'm audible. So let's start this way. So my first question is, are you already having a established business or a startup running right now with paying customers? Is anyone have running a startup with paying customers right now? You can reply by 1. Okay. No, yeah, just reply the number if you have. Yeah. Wait, I'll come to other questions. Just reply by 1 if your answer is yes. Okay. So the second question is, you can reply by 2 if your answer is yes. The second question is, you already have a startup, but you have no your product is in development phase right now. You have a startup or a business, but your product is in development phase right now. Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay, I got like 3, 4 answers. 5. Okay, let's fix it at 5. Okay, my next question is, are you already planning to have a startup, but you you haven't done anything right now, but you have a plan that you want to be an entrepreneur or you are looking for entrepreneurship or planning to have a startup, you can reply by just number 3 if your answer is yes. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, this looks quite promising. Okay, so it's 13. Let's fix it at 13. And are you here in the talk just to know that's the fourth question. So are you in the talk just to know, get the insights of the startup world? Okay, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Uh, okay, nice. 17, 18. To know how are you doing? Yeah, I know why are you here. Just to check on me. Okay, nice. So yeah, so I should. Okay. Okay, I hope you can see my screen. So, hi everyone, guys, girls, and others. This is Shubham Sharma. I am co-founder of Rebhu Computing, and this is a startup guide for dummies. I mean, I hope the title is appropriate. So, in the presentation, we will first go through some definitions, then we'll focus on some on problem and sales, then there will be more focus on problem and sales, then we are going to discuss problem and sales, and then there will be more problem and sales because so there is a lot of problem and sales in the startup business, and then we will discuss about the product or MVP, but here I'm not referring to your KD ratio in PUBG. We'll also discuss about the MVP in deep tech, and then we'll go to getting started with background in basic science. Then we'll discuss about the team, how your team should be, and then few experiences and with where we'll discuss myths versus reality. Okay, so what is a startup? It's a human institution which create a new product or service under the condition of extreme uncertainty. Okay, that's important. Under the condition of extreme uncertainty, this definition was given by Eric Rice in his book, The Lean Startup, and I would suggest any aspiring entrepreneur to read this book. So this is a suggested reading. Okay, then the next definition is who is an entrepreneur. So any individual who creates a new business by bearing most of the risks and at the same time enjoying most of the rewards. That's the definition of an entrepreneur. One thing to remember, entrepreneur's business is not equal to startup. Okay, not every business is a startup. For example, if you want to set up a hardware store in an already existing market somewhere in New Delhi, okay, then you can call yourself, then you are an entrepreneur, but your business is not a startup because it's the risk associated with opening a hardware store in an existing market is pretty less. You might have to invest a lot of money, but the risk associated are not that much so that you can call it a startup. Now, how should we get started with entrepreneurship? So there are a few steps which I'll be discussing here. The basic thing is you are building a business, okay, and a business goal is to generate revenue and a lot of revenue. That's the only thing all the businesses they actually focus. And in order to generate revenue, you need to sell the problem that your market faces. You are not selling the product, you are actually selling the problem that your that your market faces. If you sell the problem, then congratulations on closing that sales deal. Then you start building and become profitable. And the involved risk makes a business a startup. Not any business is a startup, as I said earlier. But one thing, yeah, the important for a startup is you must have explosive customer growth. Now here you can see I am stressing over the word sell. Okay. Now, how if I ask you to sell something, but that thing does not exist, how to go for it? Because you need to know your market first. If the market is ready to accept that product or not. So the question is how to sell without a product. Okay. The answer is marketing, of course, but how it works. Before I go further, there is one thing which we should always remember for startups that there is little to no budget. We are completely working without almost without money. So for B2B, B2B means business to business startup. Okay, you need to talk to people in industry about the problem. You can use LinkedIn or your personal connections to talk to the people. For a B2C or D2C startup, you should talk to the people you don't know. I mean, that's important. You should talk to the people whom you don't know, because the people whom you know, they already have a bias in favor or in against you. So by this way, you will not get the honest opinions or the honest criticism. In the time of COVID, you can use social media, but in post-COVID times, like I and my co-founder, we did this. We used to go to the malls, we used to go to the park, we used to go to the public places to take the opinions and to discuss the problem of our products. And here is another suggested reading. It's a book called Traction by Gabriel Weinberg. This will give you a lot of insights into the product and also into the sales. So our main focus is on the problem. Okay, the problem, because the problem stays, but the solution doesn't. You have a really nice example of email, because email replaces letters and then Slack replaces emails. So here the problem is still the same. Still we have difficulties in managing our communications with people, because now there is a lot of communication, there is a lot of content. Okay, and Slack is somehow able to solve the problem, but the problem is still there. Okay, so you should focus more on the problem, and because problem stays. Now you have gathered all the attention about your product, your problem, but you don't know how to use this. To utilize this, what we do in a startup culture, we use the sales funnel. Sales funnel is a criteria which consists of 4 different steps. So the steps here are your attention of your customer, then your sales cycle or your customer cycle will go through the interest, where some of your customers are going to show you the interest, and then there will be decision step phase of the customer, and then at the last there will be an action phase of your customer. Now during the attention phase, you will see a lot of footfall. A lot of people will come and see your product. Now the job of marketing team here is that, because there are a lot of people, they can discuss the problem with the people. Okay, and based on this discussion, you can have multiple solutions of your product at the same time. Now, when you move from attention to interest phase, only 10+% customers actually comes back. Majority of people, they will never come back. Now what you can do, because these 10% people, they are interested in your problem, you can validate your problem again by discussion. Okay, and at the same time you can decide the features of the MVP is minimum viable product. I'm going to discuss it later. And then out of the 10% customer inversion from attention, again there will be another 10% customer conversion who would actually like to make a decision whether they want to use a product or not. So what you can do with this customer, you can go a little bit deeper. You can discuss, validate your solutions or your product or service, and your product team, they can start manifesting the product. The final action phase, only 10% customer conversion for this phase. What you can do, now here, I believe the main job of the marketing comes here in the action phase, where they can double down on whichever channel gets the maximum sale. Okay, and then you can iterate over different channels to see which channel is bringing you the maximum sale and then focus on it. Or you can divert your funds. And the job of the product team is to build the product. But what we believe, like me and my co-founder, that there is an inverted funnel which also exists with this funnel, with the sales funnel, which we usually ignore. It's a funnel of cash, and that's one of the most important thing I think it's in a startup culture. So in the attention phase, you have to invest your personal savings. At interested phase, you should encourage your interested customers to make prepayments. At at the decision phase itself, you should start accepting prepayment, and at the action phase, you should stay cash positive, because if you are not cash positive, your startup cannot continue. It will die sooner or later. So these are the stages of sales funnel for a startup. But for a beyond early stage startup, the funnel looks same, except now you are not making a new product, but you are actually making an enhancement of your product, or you are deciding the new feature of the product. What you can do, you look for new markets. And here again, the major job of the marketing team. Okay, you look for new markets, you find relevance of your new features with your current product. You need to validate your enhancement, you decide new feature, you manifest new feature, and at the end you build new feature. Now it leaves us with another question, which is, does it mean that we have paying customers? Maybe, maybe not, we don't know. Okay, in case of B2G or B2G startups or operations, you will get a letter of intent that, okay, you give us this, you provide us with this service or product, we'll pay you later. Or you can get some advance, for example, hard cash in bank. In case of B2C or D2C, you might or may not get prepaid or early bird campaigns. And for B2B to C or marketplace startups, for example, you have Flipkart, Snapdeal, you have to focus on the demand size, and then you start your prepaid campaigns. Of course, there are exceptions. For example, there's an exception of Clubhouse. If you are growing like Clubhouse, which is like 500 million US, which is growing by 500 million US dollars per month, then investors will drool to have their money in your business. So I would say Clubhouse is no more a startup, because they are already doing quite good. Now let's discuss a bit about the product. How you should design your product, and what should be the product, and what are the required attributes of the solution of the product. So the required attributes of a product in B2B case, which is business to business, if you are providing a service to a business, then it should reduce their operational cost, okay, or it should increase their revenues, or it should decrease their cycle time, or improve the business productivity. I just want to stop for a second. I heard some noise. Someone trying to say something.
Sir, there's a question in the chat box.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a nice question. We can discuss this question when I end up speaking about the team column. Okay, just give me some time. Let me come to the end. I hope you will get your answer by the end. Okay. Yeah. So in case of B2B startups, these are the four things that you should focus on. If your product can manage to do these four things, reduce their operational costs, increase their revenues, decrease cycle time, improve business productivity, then you can make a space for your product on the B2B side. In case of B2C or D2C startup, your product should provide a new user experience, okay, or it should create a niche for itself. or improves the life of the customer, then the customer would be happy to pay or happy to use it. Otherwise, your product is not going to do much in the market. So now we are going to discuss what is an MVP. MVP stands for minimum viable product, the simplest product that can provide delight to customers. That's how we define it. So, because every solution has a delight loop that, when completed, gives a sense of enjoyment to the customers. For example, getting notification of IGA. Whenever we see a notification, we feel happy. We feel something new. Driving your vehicle, watching a video on YouTube. Then these are the delight loops which startup or companies use to engage you with their platforms. It is not necessary to build a product for starting your business. That's what I want to focus on. It's absolutely not necessary to build a product for starting your business. You can use Google Forms with Zapier, Airtable to retrofit your solutions. You can use social media to make community, and then you can start a discussion about the problem in concern. Then only you should go deep down and start creating your product. Let's take an example. If suppose you are building a hotel, so what is the MVP for the hotel? What are the must-have features? Should have a clean bed, should have clean bath, should have air conditioning, electricity, running water, and a reception. Nice to have features are should have there is a room service, there is internet, there might be complimentary meals or banquet hall. Awe-inspiring features are a swimming pool, spa, cab drop-off, or roof dining. Now, if you look up the must-have features, then we can see the number of features is less. They should be functional, they should be reliable and usable. And if you combine all of this, then you can straight away start OYO's competitor with this, just with this MVP. But if you look for the MVP for deep tech, so here by deep tech I mean a startup which is not, yeah, which is more into the uh, more into which has more complexities. Okay, by tech it doesn't mean it should be a tech startup. It means it's more complex, it's more deep. So for MVP for deep tech is there is always you can always find investors with high risk reward appetite who are always ready to pour their money into the ventures. For example, you have SpaceX, AMD, Nvidia, Rigetti Computing, and these businesses are built for a decade or more in the future. And these are usually built on top of fundamental research. So this is important because you all are students of either. How they do it, their founding team, it's built of people with highly specific subject knowledge. For example, AMD, NVIDIA requires highly specific physicists with deep understanding of nanotechnology and electronics. Mode RNA requires drug researchers with background in drug development and biochemistry. And MVP for a deep tech and hardware startups is rarely a product. They don't even have a product. All they have is a concept. You can always see for deep techs, they will be having a website where they'll be showing what company does and its progress. But there is also a lot of discussions with the prospective customers, and that's where they pour a lot of money, okay, to discuss the problem and then to work towards the specific solutions. Now, how to start up? That's another section. Yeah. So what the first step is, you should find a problem that you want to solve for half a decade or so. The you is important here. Okay. There are thousands of existing problems in the world, but you should know that which problem you want to solve. And then you should continue. There are two ways. There might be many more ways, but that's what we think is either you can build on top of existing markets. Pros are easier monetization, cons are high market competence. Or you can develop a new market, which can also be done by deep tech. Pros are future market dominance. You will be having future market dominance because you are creating a own niche for your product. Cons are it last time to cash flow positive because it takes a lot of time to become cash positive in such a market. Second step, you go and talk to the customers. You go and talk to the people who actually face that problem. Then you identify solutions that are easy to design, develop, and maintain. So you talk to your customers about the problem, you identify solutions, and then you discuss these solutions with the first set of people who actually face those problems. Okay. You gauge what are they willing to pay to have this problem solved, and then you ask people to prepay some amount and see if they are ready to pay. Using that money, you build your MVP, you launch, you realize something went wrong, you learn, you build your MVP again, you launch again, and then you continue in this loop until you impress yourself that okay, my product is really doing great. And but how to start up as a basic science student? So here things goes a bit different. You should limit your search space. Why? Because the problem you are looking for is specific to your subject, or it can be interdisciplinary topic based on your team. Then you talk to the people who face this problem. Based on their replies, you ask yourself this problem: what is the, I mean, how does the problem is related to your subject, and what are the resources you need to solve this problem? Then you go for the development. Again, during the development phase, what you can do, you can choose your thesis wisely. Align your thesis work and guide in such a way that it boosts your MVP development. You can use either resources. I mean, that's my personal opinion because I have been in IISER. The IISER resources are always underutilized. Start, you can start from their servers, their computers, their labs. Everything is always underutilized. So you have a lot of resources. You can use these resources to build the best out of multiple solutions that you and your team can come up with. Okay. Another important thing is learn skills. You have a lot of time. Trust me, you have a lot of time. You can learn skills. For example, basic finance, you can learn. You can learn programming, can learn copywriting, public speaking. You can learn how to make presentations. There are a lot of skills which you can learn. After development, you launch. If you have developed your product, you launch it. You improve it, you launch it again. You improve it, you launch it again. Continue this cycle. Okay, do not lose hope. But the important thing is you have to learn. If you are not learning from your mistakes from past products, you are never going to make it. Okay. Now, how should you design the team? How should you look after for your team member? So one thing is important, they should have complementary skills. Okay, if you have a team of 5 members and 4 of them are really good in programming and one guy does business development, then it's not a good team. Okay, you need people with complementary skills. Have a, I mean, this complementary skill thing, it's a bit contradictory. I'll explain you later. Okay. Have a founding team that can enjoy a decent meal under 500 per meal per day. Okay, this is also one of the main thing which you should also consider, which I think. Pick your business partner carefully. It's very important because you can find another life partner, but you will only build 1 or 2 unicorn startups in your lifetime. Okay. Work on 1 or 2 small projects before you decide to work together. It's important that you know that how, doesn't matter if the other person is your friend or not, is your colleague or not, but always work on 1 or 2 small projects. Okay, before you decide, okay, I want to split my equity with this guy or not, I want to board this guy or not. And always find first employees with can-do attitude. This is the difficult part, and I think it's somehow contradictory with the complementary skill. And this is the same problem which we are also facing. You will find a lot of people who are ready to work with you if you pay them, but they will not give you their 100%. Okay, this is something which SpaceX and Tesla did. They are the kind of people they are hiring. They are ready to give their 100%, but it's very difficult to get the people who with this can-do attitude. Okay, and you should also look for these 3 skills in the team. If you have these 3 skills in your team, then I guess that's the best team, and you can definitely achieve something. The skills are product development, operations, or biz dev, or a design person. For product development, you should have critical thinkers. Okay, the guy who can critically think and should know the person should know the product design and development, and there should be one person who is leading this task, and there can be partial contribution by other. Okay, until problem validation, this team member can also work in biz dev. And regarding operations and biz dev, you should have a person who is really good with marketing and sales, who should know how to talk to the customer. Personally, I think everyone should talk to the customer. At least one team member must be talking to the customer every day. Okay, the person should can do anything. You ask the person, they should have this get things done kind of attitude. Should know how to set up the distribution channels. Should know how to close the deals. And again, one member from the operations and biz dev should also work along with product development team. Another important thing is you should have a design person. Like we in my team, we are really bad designers. I don't want to use the other word. We are really bad designers. Okay, you need a designing person who can make marketing material, make social media posts, make website animation, stock video editing. And again, one person from your designing team should also work with one person, should also work in the product development for the positive feedback. So in our case, my like our team and our achievements are these are also our achievement, our failed product. Our first product was A2. We were calling it an automatic image sharing app. So when you go on a trip with your friends or you have a party, you take a lot of pictures, and then either the same night or next day you ask for all the pictures on WhatsApp, and the other person will keep on procrastinating that I'll give you. But with this app, you can take all the pictures, and it will automatically. We were using this word automatically. Send all the pictures to the person who are actually in the photo. Okay, and we were using a three-step algorithm to do this, but it somehow didn't work, and the lessons we learned is that there is a huge net new app hesitancy. People do not want another app in their phone, and especially if it's a social media app, people don't want it. Okay. Another thing is marketing. Our perception was that mobile apps required a lot of marketing, which was a costly process. However, we learned that this is not the case. We have to find effective distribution channels. If we can find effective distribution channels, marketing do not does not require a lot of money. Okay, and we should do the continuous development. What we were doing, we were working remotely. We were not developing the app continuously. So even though in the beginning the users we had, they eventually left. Okay, so that's how it didn't work. Another product we had, it was Get Raved. It was V2X. V2X is vehicle to anything communication for autonomous infrastructure. And but particularly we were doing things like vehicle to device communication using this product. And the lessons we learned, the hardware needs continuous time, effort, and money, which we didn't give or we didn't have. And there are long sales cycles with the hardware. It takes a lot of time to sell even your prototype type of product or your MVP. And we were ahead of our time. What we were actually trying to do, we were quite ahead of our time. The technology which we were using in GetRep, they in the current uh, COVID tracking app, they use the similar technology. In Arogya Setu, they use the similar technology. And since I live in Germany and I was using their COVID tracking app, and they were using the exactly same technology which we plan to use here in the GetRep. And when I say that we were ahead of time, I say this because there exists a gap between our physical world and the digital world, which is not connected for the time being. Maybe in future the gap is narrowing down and down, but right now it's quite far. Okay. So right now our products are all the products are running under the banner of Rebhu Computing. We have Hubscribe. It's a micro-payment gateway. It's an omni-channel micro-payment service for the internet. You must always be thinking, well, it would have been so nice if I had just one subscription for Netflix, for Amazon Prime, for for Hotstar, and that's what Hubscribe does. But it's not easy to go to this company and ask them to integrate our service. So for the time being, what we are doing, we are in discussion with different publishers in India, online publishers. For example, we have Print, we have Quint, we have Webco, and other online publishers, and we are trying to find a way to integrate our service because it's a plugin which can be integrated in their website. But all these publishers, they are using different platforms. So we are in discussion with their technical team. How can we make it easier to integrate our plugin so that they can have a paywall at at every at every article? Okay, you decide whether you want to pay or not, but they want to put a paywall at each of their article. And next we have the Nexus codes. It gives you actionable insight from digital data. This is something which we created as an internal tool. We were using it a lot, but now we are also providing this as a web plugin to enterprises and other customers. It's a payable chargeable service. It's not free even for trying. Okay, so what it does, it enables search in your history using, it enables AI powered search, and yes, we do AI powered search in histories, and it can also give you knowledge graph. It can also create knowledge graph based on the material you have for marketing or for product development. Our other product is Rebhu Solutions. Here we provide engineering as a service, we call it, which is popularly known as EAS. And our recent project under this was X-Force controller operated hydraulic robot for cleaning oil waste pit in Ahmedabad. And we are currently working with museums in India to provide a BLE based audio visual app to aid the museums where they can showcase their work on the apps as well. And our the last product is we have is RebuNet, which is sustainable computing. So this is something I'm going to discuss in details. So the problem, as I said, we first need to find the problem and what you want to solve. The problem is e-waste, okay, and because computers get old and slow, and which are eventually discarded, and this generates a large amount of e-waste. Now you found the problem. Now you look around the sales, marketing, and benefits of the solution. I mean, if I go and try to solve this problem, are there any benefits? Can I make profits? Can I make some sale? So yes, you'll be having, the benefits are having hardware less computers. You run your old devices as if it is new. Consumer will pay for what they use. You don't have to pay upfront when you need, for example, good hardware. You can run all your pre-existing applications on cloud. Everything is in cloud. There is no local backups, and you can also collaborate on different projects at the same time. Solution for this is decentralization of computing power. So the plan is to build world's largest decentralized supercomputer owned by the people. Our devices will stream the live screen output based on the inputs using touch or keyboard. This supercomputer is responsible for generating live streams and processing user input over the wire or internet. There are also other proposed solutions. For example, recycle. We can also recycle the existing devices, or we can rent devices. But that's something. For example, recycling existing devices is not profitable. You need a high setup. It has really high setup and running cost. For example, if you want to extract gold and silver and other precious metals from old laptops, it requires a setup which costs a lot, and there are also ecological issues associated with recycling. And if you want to rent, then again you have a problem. People rent mobile phones, laptops, desktops, but this removes the ownership. You are no more the owner of the device, and the problem stays the same. You are not actually solving the problem of e-waste. Why we think it's going to work? Because supercomputers are made up of servers and computers. Servers scale up as well as scale out. By scale up here, I mean adding resources to single device to improve performance. Scale out means adding more devices to improve performance. But consumer electronics only scales up, and this is a major factor in e-waste. So this shift of consumer compute to cloud makes it impervious to new advancement in the consumer electronics. Okay, and the arrival of 5G will only improve the cloud computing. So we have few of our achievements. Yeah, we can call them achievements. So first is subscribe.in. It is for the time being there are three newspapers in Kashmir. They are using our service to charge users uh, to make users pay for their e-newspapers, and we are in discussion with a lot of other publishers to implement this. And the next course we have paying customers for this one, and this is a yeah, as I told, this is an internal tool which we developed for ourselves. We also have an ongoing project, and this is my favorite one. And but unfortunately, I am not allowed to talk much about this one. So we are developing a border intrusion system with Indian Army using seismic dust array, and this is an example and also a direct implementation of my training as a seismologist. Okay, so you can also look around for the research which you do, kind of work you do around yourself, and then try to implement those that fundamental research to solve the actual problems. Okay, during the COVID peak COVID times recently, we also created this website Get Covax In, and the website was providing users with a notification with the current active slots without asking for any personal information. So we were not asking for any personal data. You just give your PIN code and you will receive a notification if you just register on the website. And we also experienced around 400,000 daily active users during the start of the May. We also designed, developed, and deployed IoT devices, firmware, gateway, and backend of Zingbus, which is like Eurobus in Europe, that have a throughput of up to 1,000 requests per second during the peak times. Learning for an entrepreneurs, I would say preserve. Yeah, preserve. You need to maintain a lot of patience. Too many lows will get you to highs. Today is hard, tomorrow is harder, but the day after tomorrow is beautiful, and most people die tomorrow. I'm not saying this. Most probably this was said by Jack Ma. I'm going to repeat again. Today is hard, tomorrow is harder, but the day after tomorrow is beautiful, and most people die tomorrow. Okay, so maybe you can go and confirm this. I guess it was said by Jack Ma. And should think global, but start local. And by local, I don't mean that should start at your near location. It means a niche. Okay, and you need to find passionate group of consumers that are delighted by your product or services. It is always better to get a small set of super happy consumers than many slightly happy ones, because super happy consumer will want your business to stay healthy, and they want so because they are the ones using your product or service most passionately. And eventually, these are the people that will help you to grow, because these are the people who will be willing to pay for your service. Okay. However, even the super happy ones will dislike the changes that you do in the product or in your business as you grow. Second, the third thing is you should have a vision for work life. A driver without a goal will end up reaching somewhere, but it may or may not be where the driver wants to be, but it will end up reaching somewhere. Stay truthful to your team, family, and loved ones. They are the ones with the skin in the game. Raise money only when you have customers. While building a social media app, you can get away with high growth, retention, and volume of user. But most of the startups, you should only go and raise money when you have customers. That's how you maintain the control over the startup with yourself and not with the investor, because investor invest money for their own benefits. So for the myths versus reality, this is one of the biggest myth which people usually don't see. Whenever you build something, they will come. That's how founders imagine customers will come, but that's how they come for the product. Okay, and especially for B2B, your customers, which is also a business, can be real brutal, and at the same time they're real honest about your product. Okay, so you should not get demotivated by the comment. You should try to find the problems in your product and try to solve them. Workplace, that's how the workplace is portrayed by media, but that's how it looks. It looks messier than this stock image. And what you will be doing at work, people think you'll be doing a lot of board meetings, but board meetings are rare occasion. Most of the time you manage social media, phone calls, you meet regular people at odd places at much common, this is much common occurrence. This, you should have a risk taking capacity. What friends with similar background think we do, but what entrepreneurs actually do. They tackle challenges. You can add more myths versus reality that you find in your journey, and we can continue this. And here are the points of contact. So I am working with Chintan, who is also the co-founder and CEO. He mainly looks after marketing, sales, DevOps, front-end security, and I mainly work on product, database, backend, and system design. Thank you very much. And now I guess I'm ready to take the questions.
Thank you, sir. That was enlightening. Now we can move on to Q&A session. Okay, the first question is, what would be the ideal number of co-founders?
Okay. Yeah. So actually, there's no ideal number of co-founder. If you depends on the startup. If you are developing a face swapping app, then just one person is enough because you just have to develop the app, and the app has a potential. There are also a lot of luck factor which works here, and you can market your app yourself. But if you are working on a hardware as a startup, then you need specialized people. So there is no ideal number. You can say there is an average number. On an average, you will see there are two and a half co-founders in a startup. But you should look after your product or your solution, what you are trying to give, and if you can manage it yourself or not. In our case, we are just two co-founders. We have employees working with us, but they are not the co-founders. We actually want someone to work with us. We want someone to get bored with us, but we are not finding the right people. It's very important. Right now, we are doing all the complementary things. We complement each other. There are a lot of things which we learn. I come from science background. My co-founder comes from mechanical engineering background. That's why we are also doing a lot of engineering stuff. Yeah, so that's what I would say. You should look for your product and then you decide on your team. There is no right number for having co-founders.
Okay, thank you for that. And next question is, what do you look in an employee?
Can I read the question? Okay. Yeah. What do you look in an employee? Yeah, your employee, what we look, I mean, what we actually think, I just put the same thing in the presentation. We look for can-do attitude. Okay, when we take interviews of the people, you will find a lot of people with a lot of skills. Okay, they are ready to work for you. If you pay them more money, they work more for you. But we always look for can-do attitude. If they can do something or not, you give them the problem, they come up with the solution next day. Okay, this is the main thing which we look for in an employee, if they have this can-do attitude or not. We don't want procrastination. We don't want excuses because, I mean, I don't want to be harsh, but as Indians, we need to work hard a lot. Okay, we are still a developing country. If we look at Western countries, if we look at Germany, we look at US, they used to work 996, which was they used to work 9 hours a day, and they used to work 9 hours a day from 9 to 6 and 6 days a week. Okay, that's how they achieve whatever they have today. But we are not doing this as a country. We are not doing this. We should do this. We have to work hard. I want an employee who can work hard. Okay, we can ask for 9 to 5 job. In US, people are asking for 4 days a week. They are asking for 6 hours job. They can do this. They have all the resources with them right now. But you should look back 50, 60 years back. These guys, they were working really hard. That's how they were able to achieve all of this. So we also need to work hard. So if I hire an employee, I look for can do attitude and if they can work or not. Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the next question. What advantage do the services and products offer over the current market paradigm?
What advantage does it? I Is this a general question or is this question specific for our product?
So you can elaborate about your product.
Okay. What advantage do the services and products offer over the current market paradigm? The advantage is for example, in case of HubScribe, the advantage is you can user can pay what they consume. I know, look, even myself, I have Netflix subscription, but I'm not watching it all the time. Okay, then why should I pay for all the hours when I'm not watching Netflix? I just want to pay for the time when I watch. So suppose if I want to watch just one movie, I just want to pay for one movie. Okay, if I have New York Times subscription, I am not reading their many articles. Why should I pay for the whole month? And this is also a question of managing resources properly. Okay, so that's what our product does. It gives you freedom. It provides you a platform where at one place you can manage all your subscription. And in case of RebuNet provides it's again the same thing. It it gives you a freedom where you can use any software, where you can use any service without increasing burden on the planet Earth, without adding more to the e-waste. I actually had a video which we recorded a couple of months ago, where I am not able to find it right now, where my co-founder, his laptop stopped working, and he for the whole time he was working on Raspberry Pi. If you know Raspberry Pi, it's a very small computer. Okay, but he was using our cloud service all the time. He was playing games, he was designing software. Everything was on the cloud with a good internet connection, and just with the use of a Raspberry Pi. So now look at it. Raspberry Pi, it's a really small computer. Okay, and when you buy laptop, it contains a lot of electronics. That's what we are trying to do with our services and product to reduce the e-waste and also to reduce the useless spending of money.
All right. The next question is how to raise funding.
Yeah, raise funding. Yeah, as I said, you should only go to raise funding when you have paying customers. Right now, we are in talk with SoftBank from Japan. They have their Indian venture. We are in talk with them, and they want to invest. But honestly speaking, we don't want them to invest right now because they are asking for too much equity, and we don't want to share it right now. You should not go for the funding directly. Try to bootstrap your startup. Okay, if your startup is something in deep tech, yes, you need funding. And what you do, you go to the conferences. Right now all the conferences are online, but post COVID time, conferences were happening in cities. You go to the conferences, you talk to the people, you try to get slot in the conference to present your work. You can participate in startup schools. You can participate in lot of competitions. There are competitions held by government, because once you participate in in this competition, you win. Then you come in the limelight. Okay, once you are in the limelight, a lot of investors will come and invest in your venture. But if you're a startup, it's really a small business. For example, you want to start something where you want to sell handicrafts online. Okay, then you don't need funding for that. You can bootstrap yourself, you can have some personal saving, and then you start with very small. You can be the only delivery guy, you are the one who can manage the website, you are the one who is making catalogs of the product, and slowly you grace, you earn money, you invest in it. So our goal is not to go for the funding for the time being, but it depends on your product, what kind of funding you want. And the ways of raising funds is to participate in startup school, go talk to people on LinkedIn, make a lot of LinkedIn posts. People will come and they will be ready to invest in your venture. Yeah.
Right, sir. So the next question is, what made you choose this type of business, transitioning from basic sciences to technology?
I was always interested in technology. I was not that much interested in basic sciences. When I joined IISER, I started learning website design, and well, I never say this, but I designed the current website of IISER, which is not something what I designed. They uploaded something else. I don't know what happened. But yeah, I was always interested in technology since the beginning. I Then I met my co-founder. I mean, he's my old-time friend. He was already doing something in technology, so I joined him. The thing which made me join was earth science, because I was doing earth science and specifically geophysics. And in geophysics, I was doing a lot of coding. So if you go towards the technology, you can easily transition yourself if you are writing some types of programs or codes. Okay, but I guess it's possible for everyone to transition from any type of basic science. Doesn't matter if you're working in mathematics or you're working in biology. You can easily transform from basic science to technology, but you have to read a lot. You have to read a lot. Elon Musk, he read hell lot of books on how to design rockets. Okay, and that's how he created SpaceX. So you read a lot. That's how you make transition. That's how I did. Yeah, but I was always interested in technology since the beginning. It was just my interest.
Right, sir. So the next question is, how can technology help us save democracy? Why are people in technology not addressing these issues?
I guess we are somehow trying to address this issue by making Hubscribe, because we all the independent media right now in, I don't want to give any political comment, but all the independent media right now on internet, they are running with their own funds, and they are also looking for subscribers to pay. So few of them, they have subscription model, but we are trying to help them by raising more funds, by asking their users to pay. But if you talk about how can technology help save democracy, then even government of India, they have lot of platforms in, where you can actually use their tool to save democracy. For example, there is Stack India. It's a website where they provide all the tools and all the APIs available to everyone. You can use government technology to save the democracy, and there are people in tech who are addressing these issues. You want to make systems transparent. With the arrival of digital payments, systems are more transparent now. Now you have DBT. When government was sending money from the center, a lot of money was just vanishing up. Okay, now the money is directly going to people's account. That's how tech is trying to address. It's not that much, but yes, tech is trying to address this issue a lot. Yeah, but we have to look around us. Until unless we look around us, we will not find answers to this.
Okay, sir. The next question is what was the monetization model in your automatic photo sharing app?
Ads, specific ads. The plan was to show people posts which were geo, what do you call it? Yeah, which were geospatially tagged, to show people the geospatially tagged posts or photos, and then also introduce ads in them. It was same as the Tinder. In Tinder, when you swipe, you also see a lot of ads in between, or on, I don't know about Bumble, but yeah, in Tinder, I'm sure they do this. They show a lot of ads. It was just like Tinder. Specific ads ask companies for a lot of money, but ask money from very less company, not from a lot of companies. It was same as Tinder to show ads.
All right. So moving on to the next question, how do I determine whether I'm capable of starting a business?
How do I determine whether I'm capable of starting a business? You are capable of starting a business. You don't have to determine. Anyone can start a business. You must have heard about a lot of stories that this guy or that guy started a small business. You are, all you need is determination. You want to do a business or not. For example, for us, for me and Chintan, the situation was like do or do. It was a do or do situation. We cannot say it's do or die situation. It's do or do situation. You need to come out of your comfort zone. Until unless you come out of your comfort zone, you cannot start a business. It's a risky business. Okay, so you need to come out of your comfort zone, and you are capable of starting business. You should not have any doubt of about this. If you have a doubt that whether I can do a business or not, then you cannot. I'm sorry, you cannot. But you are capable of starting a business. All you need a bit of determination, a bit of positive attitude.
Yeah, do and do, like that's challenging.
Yeah, do and do situation. There's no do and die situation for us.
Yeah, that keeps us motivated. Okay. So moving on to the next question, how did you advertise your business?
Right now we are writing mails or contacting, because for the time being we are more into B2B business. So we are directly contacting the contact persons of a particular business and having chat with them over video call or over emails. And we have not think about this, that how are we going to continue about other marketing strategies. So this is one of our weak point. We actually need a marketing guy, but we met a lot of people, but we are not impressed by them, so we are not onboarding them as one of our co-founder. And yeah, right now we are just contacting people personally, contacting businesses personally on LinkedIn or by going their website. But and they do reply. Okay, if you have some genuine idea, you write to them, they do reply. You showcase them your product, and if they are interested, they do reply and they are ready to pay for it. So our current business advertising strategy is go to the people, go to the businesses, contact them directly.
All right, moving on to the next question, how did you get your idea for, or concept for the business?
uh, can I skip that question?
Sure, sure, sir.
It's something, maybe it was asked by Utkarsh, and I can answer him personally. If he wants, he can contact me.
Sure, sir. We'll definitely convey it to him. So moving on, how was your journey after IISER to the present day? Did you think of startup right after you graduated, or it happened as you went along?
Yeah, my journey to IISER, I joined IISER by by JE stream. There used to be JEE, not advanced. And then yeah, one thing which I personally feel, when I joined to IISER, I saw a lot of people who were good in studies and they were also good in something else. For example, my batchmates, someone is playing drums, someone is dancing, someone is singing, someone is really good at debates. And then I asked myself this question, that am I good at something I or not? Okay, and this somehow gave me an inferiority complex, that I'm except studies, I'm not good at anything, and that's how I have been taught. That's how I've been trained. Being I come from a really small town from UP, and except studies, I did not do anything else in my school days. So I thought, okay, I need to find out something which no one is doing in our batch. I realized no one in my batch was designing websites. Okay, so I decided to learn this. Okay, if I learn this, then that's how I can establish myself as a different guy in the website, in the batch. So I taught myself how to design website. I designed website for Incubesta for 2014 or 15. I don't remember exactly. Yeah, and then I continue. I was interested in. No, my major was physics, but I switched it to geophysics for earth science in between for some reasons. And then I continued working with Supriyo Mitra. He's a really nice professor. I always appreciate him. I'm still working with him, and that's how in the end of the fifth year, I guess there were 6 months remaining. I I had a contact. I had contact with Chintan, like my co-founder, and I was interested in his work. So we used to talk a lot about his work. I also had some ideas. We used to talk about my ideas as well. That's what I can do. That's what we can do. So, but because I was doing a lot of programming in Supriyo Mitra's lab, and he was using really these old computers, and I was always complaining about this to Chintan. Okay, these computers are really slow. I spend a lot of time in running my code. I optimize the course in the best way, and that's where this idea came from. Because computer slows down, and we need really fast computers. There was server in the lab, but we wanted to provide the same to a larger community, and that's how the idea of the uh, what do I call RebuNet it came from. Okay, and how did we decide the name? It's a different story, which is I'm keeping for the guy who was asking for the name. Yeah, and did you go through? Did you thought of a startup right after the happened? You went along. Yeah, I mean, I had this idea before I graduated from either. I decided to join PhD because of financial security. I wanted some financial security. See, there is no hurry if you want to do a startup and you think that you don't have financial security, then you can always go and you develop some financial security. You come back, you think of a really advanced solution, and then you implement them. Okay, so I decided to join PhD because I wanted some financial security. Now I'm at the end of my PhD. I'll come back to India and continue. And during this whole time, I was working on this thing alongside my regular PhD. Yeah.
Right, sir. I think we're close to end now, and thank you so much for this session. We enjoyed.